Welcome to Farming Aid.
When we look back through the pages of agricultural history, there's a class of animals that truly shaped civilizations. Not the lean, modern breeds engineered for high milk output or marbled beef, but the titans of the past. These were animals carved by nature and human necessity, creatures built to haul, fight, and endure. They were the muscle behind humanity's rise from primitive fields to sprawling empires. Today, we're diving deep into the ancient bloodlines that gave us some of the most powerful, muscular, and enduring cattle ever to walk the earth. These aren't your average cows, these are living monuments to strength, resilience, and ancient genetics that refuse to fade away. One of the most remarkable of these powerhouses is the Chianina, a breed that traces its roots back to ancient Italy. When you see a Chianina bull up close, the first word that comes to mind is massive. Towering at over 6 feet tall and tipping the scales past 1,700 kilograms in some cases, the Chianina has a physique that could rival a small rhinoceros. Known in the Roman Empire as the White Giants, these cattle were the primary draft animals that hauled marble and military supplies for the empire's expansion. Their sleek white coats shimmered in the sun as they pulled chariots and plows through the rugged countryside, their muscles rippling with every step. The Chianina wasn't bred just for size, it was bred for stamina. They could work all day under the brutal Italian sun, survive on sparse forage, and keep their composure in heat that would break lesser animals. Even today, the Chianina's genetics are sought after in beef breeding programs because of its exceptional muscle-to-fat ratio and the sheer power it brings to crossbreeding. This is a breed that's not just old, it's a living relic of human progress, a muscular symbol of endurance that's been around for over 2,000 years. Across the Mediterranean, another ancient powerhouse carved its name into the story of strength and survival, the Podolian cattle. These gray-coated giants originated from the vast steppe regions that stretch from Ukraine into parts of Italy and Hungary. The Podolians' history reads like a saga of migration and adaptation. Early herders valued them for their ability to thrive in extreme conditions, biting cold winters, scorching summers, and poor-quality pastures. With their sharp horns curving skyward and their sinewy bodies built for endurance, Podolian cattle were born survivors. They hauled heavy loads, plowed unyielding soils, and still managed to produce lean, flavorful meat. Their genetics remain some of the most ancient and unaltered in Europe, making them a genetic treasure trove for conservationists and scientists. The Podolian's secret weapon is not just muscle, it's resilience coded into every cell. Their thick skin, strong hooves, and robust immune systems make them perfectly suited for natural grazing systems, requiring minimal human intervention. In a modern world racing toward industrial efficiency, these cattle stand as a quiet reminder that raw, natural power never goes out of style. Traveling further north, we encounter the Highland cattle of Scotland, a breed that looks as ancient as the rugged landscapes it calls home. With their long, shaggy coats, sweeping horns, and solid frames, Highland cattle could easily be mistaken for prehistoric beasts roaming the misty highlands. But beneath that gentle, woolly appearance lies a structure of pure power. Centuries of surviving in one of the harshest climates on Earth shaped these animals into muscular tanks of endurance. They can forage on rocky, windswept terrain where other livestock would starve, and their dense coats protect them from biting winds and freezing rain. What makes the Highland cattle truly fascinating is their balance between strength and temperament. Despite their size and toughness, they are famously docile and intelligent. They've been part of Scottish culture for over 1,000 years, valued not only for their meat but also as symbols of hardiness and natural beauty. Their beef, lean yet tender, reflects their active mountain lifestyle, a diet of wild grasses and heather that produces flavor unmatched by grain-fed modern breeds. The Highland breed is proof that power doesn't have to mean aggression, sometimes, true strength is in calm resilience. Further east, in the windswept plains of Portugal and Spain, we meet the Mirandesa, a lesser-known but equally awe-inspiring breed. Native to the Trás-os-Montes region of Portugal, the Mirandesa is one of Europe's oldest and most muscular draft cattle. Their deep red coats and thick, compact frames tell the story of centuries of hard labor in rocky fields. For generations, farmers relied on Mirandesa oxen to plow mountainous terrain, pull heavy carts, and transport goods across rural landscapes. Their low center of gravity and explosive muscular strength made them perfect for heavy traction work, while their calm temperament allowed them to handle the most grueling tasks without hesitation. Unlike many breeds that faded into history with the arrival of tractors, the Mirandesa persisted, thanks to small communities that refused to let them vanish. Today, they're a protected heritage breed, and their meat is considered a national treasure in Portugal, famous for its unique flavor and texture. The Mirandesa's story is one of quiet survival, powered by muscle, patience, and the loyalty of rural families who understood that some bloodlines are simply too powerful to lose. Now, let's journey to the icy north once again, where one of the most ancient and resilient cattle breeds still roams the cold pastures of Scandinavia, the Icelandic cattle. These animals are direct descendants of the Norse cattle brought by Viking settlers over 1,000 years ago. Because of Iceland's isolation, this breed has remained remarkably pure, untouched by crossbreeding or industrial modification. At first glance, the Icelandic cattle might not seem as bulky as the Chianina or Mirandesa, but their power lies in their adaptability and strength relative to their environment. They are compact, muscular, and incredibly efficient. Their short legs and strong frames are built for traversing rugged volcanic terrain, while their thick hides protect them from blizzards and chilling winds. Every muscle on an Icelandic cow tells the story of survival in a land where nature rules with an iron fist. They provide rich milk, dense meat, and unmatched endurance. The Vikings depended on these cattle not just for food, but as living engines that helped settle one of the world's harshest islands. Even today, Icelandic farmers maintain deep respect for these animals, understanding that their genetic purity carries centuries of environmental wisdom, strength honed by nature rather than selective breeding. When we look at these 5 breeds, the Chianina of Italy, the Podolian from Eastern Europe, the Highland of Scotland, the Mirandesa of Portugal, and the Icelandic cattle of the far north, we're not just looking at farm animals. We're witnessing living chapters of human evolution, co-written by strength, survival, and necessity. These ancient breeds weren't designed in laboratories or refined for profit margins. They were forged by landscapes and shaped by the elements. Their muscles weren't just for show, they were the engines that powered human history. From plowing ancient fields and hauling stones for temples to feeding empires and keeping families alive through long winters, these cattle were the original powerhouses of civilization. What's truly fascinating is how their genetics have stood the test of time. In an age when modern breeds are often optimized for speed, efficiency, or aesthetics, these heritage powerhouses remind us of what's truly valuable: adaptability, endurance, and natural strength. Scientists studying their DNA have uncovered traits that modern agriculture is trying to bring back: disease resistance, heat tolerance, and the ability to thrive on minimal input. The Chianina's fast muscle growth, the Podolian's iron immunity, the Highland's cold resistance, the Mirandesa's traction power, and the Icelandic's environmental adaptability all represent genetic gold mines for the future of sustainable farming. As climate change reshapes the agricultural world, these ancient breeds might hold the keys to survival once again. There's also a cultural story behind their muscle and might. In many regions, these cattle are woven into local identity. Festivals in Tuscany still honor the Chianina for its role in Italian tradition. In Ukraine and Hungary, the Podolian's curved horns are national symbols of strength. Highland cattle grace postcards and tourism campaigns as emblems of Scottish pride. In Portugal, the Mirandesa has protected status, celebrated for keeping rural traditions alive. And in Iceland, the native cattle are seen as guardians of the nation's agricultural purity. Each of these breeds represents more than muscle; they are heritage preserved in flesh and bone, proof that beauty and power can coexist in nature's design. Watching one of these cattle move is like watching history itself breathe. The Chianina strides with elegance that belies its size, its ivory coat gleaming in the sunlight. The Podolian moves like a gray ghost across open plains, a symbol of endurance against time. The Highland grazes calmly in misty glens, its horns cutting through fog like ancient spears. The Mirandesa stands square and solid, every muscle a tribute to centuries of toil. And the Icelandic cow, with its steady eyes and compact power, carries the legacy of Viking resilience in its sturdy frame. These are not relics of the past, they are blueprints for the future. As modern farmers and breeders look for ways to make agriculture more sustainable, many are turning back to these ancient lines. Their ability to thrive on local forage, resist disease, and produce quality beef and milk with minimal environmental impact makes them a model for regenerative farming. They're showing us that the answers to modern challenges might not lie in creating something new, but in rediscovering the old. Heritage cattle breeds, built by time and tempered by hardship, carry the lessons of nature itself. Imagine the world 2,000 years ago, no machines, no tractors, no high-tech feed. Humanity's survival depended on the muscle of animals like these. Without the Chianina pulling heavy carts, Rome's expansion might have stalled. Without the Podolians' hardiness, vast steppes might have remained wild. Without the Highland strength, Scottish farmers might never have conquered their rough terrain. Without the Mirandesa's endurance, Portugal's mountain villages would have struggled to survive. And without the Icelandic cattle, the Viking settlements might never have endured those brutal northern winters. Every civilization owes part of its progress to breeds like these, powerhouses that gave everything they had, year after year, generation after generation. Today, as we marvel at skyscrapers, machines, and digital technology, it's humbling to remember that all of it began with muscle and will, both human and animal. The story of these ancient cattle is not just about agriculture, it's about partnership. Humans didn't just breed these animals, they grew alongside them, learning the rhythms of survival together. And that bond still exists wherever traditional farmers care for their herds, respecting their power and preserving their purity. If you ever get the chance to stand beside one of these heritage powerhouses, take a moment to really see it. Feel the history in its presence. Watch the muscles shift beneath its hide, each movement echoing centuries of labor, migration, and survival. These cattle are living monuments to endurance. In a world obsessed with innovation, they remind us that some forms of greatness can't be improved, they can only be respected and preserved. So the next time someone tells you cattle are just farm animals, remember the Chianina's towering frame that once hauled Rome's empire, the Podolian's survival across frozen steppes, the Highlands' calm defiance of blizzards, the Mirandesa's iron strength in Portugal's mountains, and the Icelandic's quiet power carved by volcanic winds. These aren't just cattle. They are the original engines of civilization, ancient powerhouses built like tanks, standing as timeless symbols of what nature and human will can achieve together. If you enjoyed this journey through the world of ancient muscle and heritage power, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below on which breed impressed you the most. Your support helps keep these stories alive, celebrating the animals that helped build our world from the ground up.